Hello, pre-algebra students. We're ready for chapter 13, the first section, where we are going to be talking about measures of central tendency. This is statistics. When you're talking about statistics, you're usually talking about data, collecting a lot of data, a lot of numbers. So if you have a lot of numbers to work with, it is often very helpful to only look at one or a few numbers that can represent the whole set. These numbers that you want to concentrate on are the measures of central tendency. They're called the mean, the median, and the mode. If you're looking at the mean, then you're looking at the sum of all the data divided by the number of items in the data set. So this should sound familiar to you. It's also like an average. When we average your grades, we are giving you the mean, which is all of your numbers added up and divided by however many grades were entered. All right, another central tendency is a median. So when you line up all the numbers from least to greatest, it's the middle number. Like a median is in the middle of a road, the median of statistics is the middle number of the ordered data. Okay? The mean of the middle two numbers. So you again have to have listed them from least to greatest or greatest to least to find the number in the middle, or if it's an even number, then you have to find the average of the middle two numbers. We're going to show you what that looks like here in just a minute. Then the third measure of central tendency is the mode, the number or numbers that occur most often. We're going to sing a little song in class that's going to help us remember these terms, mean, median, and mode. Since they all start with an M, it's very easy to get those confused. So here's an example. Jason recorded the number of hours he spent watching television each day for a week. So he's collecting some data. It's asking us to find each one of our measures of central tendency. So the mean hopefully is easy for everyone. We're simply going to be finding the average. So here we go, the mean. So we're going to add up 2 plus 3.5 plus 3, and then of course plus 0 doesn't do anything, but we have to count it because that was one of the days, plus 2.5 plus 6 plus 4. We're going to add all of those up and we're going to divide by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 because it was for one whole week. When you add those up and you divide by 7, you find that the mean or the average is 3, which means on average he spent 3 hours a day watching television. Next, they want us to find the median, which is the number in the middle. So let's change colors here. The number in the middle. So let's list them from least to greatest. So we're not going to necessarily go in the order, because 0 comes first, then 2, then 2.5, then 3, 3.5, then 4, then 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we should have 7 data entries, and the number in the middle is 3. So both the mean and the median give us 3 hours as his average, or the tendency for how many hours a day he spends watching television. All right, so last we need to find the mode, which is most often. What number occurs most often? Well, I'm not going to rewrite them. I have all the numbers listed right here, and not a single number appeared more than once. So we just simply say there is no mode. There's no mode. No number occurs most often. So if he had spent 3 hours twice a week or 2 hours twice a week, if anything had occurred more than once, it would have been our mode. But for this example, we do not have a mode. Okay, here are two for you to practice. So how about I'll do number 1 with you, and then I'll leave number 2 for you to try. So here we go. First, we're going to do our mean, which is the average. So add them up. And divide by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We have 8 numbers there. So that totals 677. 677 divided by 8 is about 85. So 84.6. So I'm going to say approximately 85 is our mean. All right, next we're looking for the median, which is the number in the middle. So let's list them from least to greatest. 70, first is 50, 50. Then 74. So let's mark them off. We don't want to repeat ourselves. Then comes 86. Then we have 90. We have 90 again. Then we have 92. 95, and then 100. Make sure I didn't skip anything. There's supposed to be 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, so halfway is here. We have 4 to the left and 4 to the right. Since it's an even number, we don't have a median. We don't have a number that falls in the middle. So what it says to do when you have an even number is to find the average of the two middle terms. So had these been numbers other than the same number, I'd need to add them together and divide by 2. Well, we all know, I hope, 90 plus 90 divided by 2 is going to give us 90. So our median is 90. So we're comparing our mean, which was 85, and our median, which is 90. So let's see what we get for the mode. I do not need to list them again because I've just listed them, and mode is the number that occurs most often, which again is 90 because it occurs twice. So the median and the mode are both 90. So I want you to try number 2 on your own for tomorrow, and after you do that, flip over to the next page. So as we saw, we did not always get the same number for the mean, median, and mode. So there are times when you must choose the appropriate measure. And these are the criteria that we will use to decide which is the best measure to use. It's best to use the mean when the data does not have any extreme values. In other words, the values that there's no value that is much greater or much less than the rest of the data. So no extreme values is when you would want to use mean. You want to use the median if the data do have extreme values, or if there are no big gaps in the middle of the data. So if everything seems close together in the middle, that's a good time to use the median. And if there's some extreme values, you would throw those away, not really throw them away, but you're going to concentrate your efforts on the middle when there is extreme data. So that's very good to remember. When there's extremes, let's look at the median. All right, and mode is when there's a lot of repeated numbers. We saw that sometimes you do not have any repeated numbers. So when there's repeated numbers, then it's a good idea to use mode. I won't say when there's repeated, but when there are many repeated numbers. So let's look at the example below and see if we can decide which measure of central tendency we should use. All right, this is our monthly grocery bill. Let me slide over, make sure we're not missing anything. All right. The grocery bill, 3 families collected over 6 months. So these are the three families. Which measure of central tendency best represents the data for each family? Okay, so first let's look at the pine family. Sometimes it might be helpful to copy the data down from least to greatest. So let's do that. 143, 153, 169. Then it goes 310, 311. That's a pretty big jump. 310, 311, and then 324. Okay, so here are their numbers. There's a big difference here, but these are all close together, and those are all close together. So I would say there are no extreme outliers. There's no extreme value, so I don't think we should use median. There's no repeated numbers, so I would not use mode. So I think the best choice for the pines is to use the mean to find the average. Okay, next let's look at the chems. Again, I find it helpful to write the numbers down, so let's start with least, 193. Then we have 210 3 times. Oh, I think I already know my answer. Since I have 210 3 times, I think mode would be the best choice for the chems. So that took care of that question. And then last we have the Diaz, or I guess that's Diaz family. We'll write those down from least to greatest, starting with 146, then 187, 195. Those are all pretty close together. 204, 214, and then, oh my goodness, they jump all the way up to 416. That's a pretty significant extreme value. So let's go back to our notes at the top. When there's an extreme value, it's a good idea to use the median. So with this extreme, I'm going to pick median. Okay, I am running out of time, so let's look at the bottom exercise. And we have 3 columns of numbers. We don't know what the data represents. It doesn't matter, but they've collected these numbers. For A, B, and C, I would like to know if you could tell me the best measure of central tendency. Give me your best answer for A, B, and C, and then they start combining A and B, A and C, B and C. So answer those with doing the best you can, and that'll be our place where we will start our discussion tomorrow. And as always, I hope you have an awesome day. Toto, we're not in Kansas anymore.